Hello everyone and welcome back to 27 Fox Place. I thought I would show you what a typical day looks like and how I put my routines together. And I like to break up the weekly cleaning and take care of a different task every day. And each of my weekly tasks takes about 15 minutes to do, some a few minutes less and some a few minutes more. And today I need to change the sheets and wipe down the laundry room. And I used to wash the sheets and put them right back on the bed, but it does save more energy to wash a larger load, so every other week I have a load of sheets to wash. And if I happen to remember what day it is, then I don't wash a load of clothes on the same day that I wash the sheets, and I usually just strip the bed as soon as I get up so that I can get the bed made before the day gets away from me and I forget and have to make the bed so that I can get in it. But if I can't get the bed made first thing in the morning, then I can always call in reinforcements to help make the bed at the end of the day. And there are definitely times when I conveniently forget because it's much faster when my husband and I work together.
About to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away.
Sheets can get tangled up during the wash cycle, which can prevent them from getting clean and properly rinsed. So I load the sheets one at a time to make sure they're not twisted and tangled up to start with. And I also use the sheet setting on the washer to help prevent them from getting twisted and tangled up while they're washing.
Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out.
My husband does most of the shopping and he puts away most of the groceries and supplies, but there's always a few things that he leaves out for me to take care of. And if there's anything that he doesn't put away, it usually ends up here. So there's just a few things that I need to tidy up and put away before I leave the room.
Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Oh, take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, down with my own doubts. Be free with me.
I try to wash the blankets that we use in the living room on the same day that I wash the sheets. It makes it easier to keep track of what needs to be done, and it just makes sense to me to wash all the linens on the same day. And switching the cover on the sofa needs to be done once a week. We put our feet up on the sofa and the dogs put their feet up on the sofa, so the blanket helps to protect the sofa cushions so that they stay cleaner and last longer. And we found this blanket at Costco a few years ago, and it was the perfect size and color, so we picked up 2 of them. That way we have one to put on the sofa while the other one is in the washing machine. And I need to tidy up in the living room every morning, so switching the cover only adds a few extra minutes to my morning routine. We load the dirty dishes straight into the dishwasher, which keeps the sink from piling up with dishes, but there's still a few dishes in the sink from this morning that I need to wash up by hand. Avocados will last much longer in the fridge, and you can store avocados in the fridge and then take them out to ripen, but I like to leave them out to ripen before I put them in the fridge so that we always have ripe avocados to eat.
I'm gonna let the sun shine in today. I'm trying to make this darkness go away. I'll paint with colors and I'll sing until my lungs give out. I'm gonna let the sun shine in today. And I will leave my windows open so that I can hear the sound of people.
I will find any excuse to spend time outside, even if I have to clean. And the patio is my happy place, and it's where I go whenever I have a few minutes to sit down. And it's a perfect spot to work on videos, but keeping this back patio clean cuts down on my cleaning time because the floors will stay cleaner if there's less dirt to track in the house. And this time of year we get a lot of windy weather and a lot of fall leaves, so having a cordless blower makes it even easier to keep this area clean.
I'm gonna let the past be filled with smoke.
We're constantly in and out this back door, and the glass is constantly covered with the dog's nose prints, and cleaning out the track keeps the door in good working order, so I try to clean it once a week, but I don't have a day when I clean the back door. It's sort of a floating task that I fit in wherever I can, and most of the time I just take a minute to vacuum out the track and clean the bottom half of the glass.
Let my mind be carried by the waves. Oh, I will open up my eyes so I can see the light. Oh, and I'll try to spread my wings so I can fly. Oh, and the darkness starts to fade. Feels like things are gonna go my way. I'm gonna let the sun shine in the day.
Depending on the weather, I may have to water the plants on the patio about every day, but this time of year I can usually go a few days before I need to water. Between the time change and the DIY projects, I haven't had a chance to fertilize the annuals on the patio in the last month, and our first frost date isn't until December, so if I can keep up with the fertilizer, I should be able to get at least another month of blooms.
Appalachian sunrise meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed, feel it coming in. Golden, I'll follow home. Golden, golden, golden. Mountain Laurel high fives for miles in spring. Rainbow trout and hummingbird.
Sheets get tangled up and twisted in both the washer and the dryer, and the sheets can still come out of the wash twisted and tangled even when I take the time to untangle them beforehand, and when they get tangled up in the dryer they don't dry evenly, so I try to make sure to shake them out before I transfer them over to the dryer.
Gold rings, gold leaves, gold anything, gold. I'll follow only golden, golden, golden things.
When I wash the sheets, I always take a few minutes to wipe down the laundry room so that I have a clean place to fold the clothes, and I wipe down the countertops and the washer and dryer with a microfiber cloth, and I need to clean the washer before I start it so that I don't interrupt the wash cycle, and I just use a damp microfiber to clean up the dust and spills, and then I'll use a dry microfiber cloth to buff out the water spots on the shiny surfaces.
Saw you down the motorway. There was something about you that day. I can still hear the shimmering sound. The hill is near, let's get right up. Walk up to the very top. We couldn't tell the sky from the ground. I know my life will never be the same after that day. Fingers and you stay. I don't ever wanna be alone again. In spite of all, you're my best friend. Makes me want you even more. If you want to, I'm up for a kiss. I know it's tough. Don't let anybody tell you you're not enough. There are days when we all feel like we're messed up, but we know that we're all diamonds in the rough. In spite of all, we are all we got.
Waiting for the sheets to wash and dry is the most time-consuming part of this whole process, but stripping the sheets, wiping down the laundry room, and making the bed only takes about 15 minutes altogether, even when I have sheets to fold. There really is no right or wrong way to fold a fitted sheet, but I do fold the sheets to fit the space that I have to store them, and I like to start by folding the fitted sheet in half and bringing the short sides together. And a quick way to find the short side of the sheet is to look for the tag, because the tag is always on the short side, and once the sheet is folded in half, all I have to do is match up the corners and tuck one inside the other and repeat the process on both sides. There are all kinds of reasons for making the bed in the morning. It takes up the most space in the room, so it has the biggest impact. It sets the tone for the day, it increases productivity, and improves sleep. So there are plenty of good reasons, and it only takes a minute to make up the bed in the morning, and I'm rewarded 10 times over when I turn back the bed at the end of the day.
Smiling at me, there's so many times before. I'll never wanna be away, leave you again.
Classic beef stew is perfect when the weather gets colder. It's a simple one-pot meal that practically cooks itself, and I can always make enough to keep in the freezer for busy days. And I don't follow any particular recipe for this stew or measure out the ingredients, but I do buy pre-cut beef stew meat for this recipe. I add a little avocado oil to coat the meat and then season with salt and pepper, and traditional stew meat calls for wheat flour as a thickening agent. But tapioca flour is a gluten-free option, so I use a few tablespoons to coat the meat before it goes in the pan. I want to brown the meat to seal in the juices and add extra flavor, and I'm using 2 pounds of stew meat, so I can't cook all the meat at the same time. If I overcrowd the pan, the meat will steam instead of browning, so I'll just cook half at a time, and while the meat is cooking, I can chop up the veggies. I'm using onions, celery, carrots, and potatoes for this stew, and I'll just chop everything into bite-sized pieces until I have about 2 cups of each.
Will you still love me as I'm getting hungry and old? And when you are away, I sometimes shiver and cold. It is hard to define you, but you're worth more than gold. When everything is told. Waiting at the doorstep, finally home. I've been gone for too long. It is true. If only I could do one thing, promise to you. It is true.
It takes about 3 minutes for each batch of meat to cook over a medium-high heat, and once the meat is brown on all sides, I can remove it from the pan, and I'll repeat the same process with the next batch. When I'm in the kitchen, I try to clean as I go, so I rinse everything right away, so either it can go straight into the dishwasher or so that I can reuse them instead of washing even more dishes.
Remember me, I remember you. I've been thinking about you more than ever. I guess I'm lonely, I'm starting to grow old, and I thought my youth would last forever. Take me back to when you preferred to live in Paris before I come to you.
Once all the meat is cooked, I add about a cup of red wine, and of course the wine is optional, but I like the extra flavor that it adds to the stew. And once I add the wine, I let it cook for a few minutes to burn off the alcohol before I add the rest of the ingredients.
Back to you because now I see we were meant to be. Where are you now? Heard you live far away, but just tell me where and I'll come see ya. 'Cause I'm afraid that I'll end up here alone. Hope you.
In addition to the salt and pepper, I season this stew with about a teaspoon of marjoram and thyme and 1 bay leaf, and I use enough beef stock to cover all the ingredients in the pan. And I started out with 1 quart of beef broth, but then I ended up having to add another 2 cups to cover everything. Once all the ingredients are together, the stew needs to cook for about an hour or until the meat is tender, which gives me plenty of time to clean up and take care of anything else that I need to. And I wasn't always this efficient in the kitchen. When we first started out, my husband did all the dishes, and when I cooked, it looked like a tornado went through the kitchen. And by the time we were finished eating, the food was dry and stuck on everything, and it took twice as long to clean up. So we agreed that if he was going to do the dishes, I was going to have to make things a little bit easier for him.
It goes round and round.
Dinner is usually our biggest meal and the last cleanup of the day, and I wipe down the countertops, clean the sink and the faucet, and I try to spend a few extra minutes to do one task. And today I'm wiping down the stainless steel, and that way the only thing we have left to do after we eat is to wipe down the stove and put the plates in the dishwasher.
You're my sweetheart. When you're around, I feel the sparks takes me higher, sweetheart. Let me be close to you forever.
I need to transfer the blankets over to the dryer and set up another load of laundry so that it's ready for the next morning. And I only fold one load of laundry a day, so I typically don't wash more than one load of laundry a day. And I also only fold sheets every other week, and I count folding sheets as one load of laundry, but blankets and sheets don't take as long to fold as it does a load of clothes. So I always wash sheets and blankets on the same day, even if I don't get them all folded on the same day.
You got me out of this feverish dream. You are holding my hand. I have no clue, don't know what it means, but I know you'll understand. 'Cause when you're away, there's a hole in my heart. Feels like a deja vu. I know for sure you are my missing part. I know that you'll be you. 'Cause you're my sweetheart.
That's all for today. I hope you liked this video and that it gives you a little motivation to get cleaning. And if you're new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications before you go. And as always, thank you so much for spending your time with me today, and I hope to see you next week.
You're my sweetheart.